you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to look perfect. You do not have to be perfect to be in a good relationship and have true love. If that person is meant for you, they will be there.
So find a way to
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monica. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to attract true love. So I wanted to make this video because not too long ago, I was talking to a friend who has been single for a while and was feeling down about it. And as we were talking, I wanted to give her some advice or say something different than what I have already said in the past. And I had set the intention to figure out some way to help or something else I could say. And I even asked myself, in my mind, I was like, what can I say in this moment? And it took a little while, maybe like a couple hours, but then I suddenly had this spiritual download from my higher self or the Akashic records or the universe, whatever. And it was something that I had not really thought about before, and it was something different than I've heard other people say. So I wanted to share this download and the information that I relayed to her in case it might help some of you who are trying to find your soulmate, your partner, just trying to attract real, true love. Most of us have heard that the only way to attract true love is by loving ourselves first and being happy by ourselves before we're happy with someone else. I do agree with that statement to a degree. However, I also believe that people can attract relationships and what they think is love without loving themselves first. There are plenty of people in the world who don't love themselves and are in a relationship with someone else. The difference with that, though, is I personally believe, and I've seen this for myself and from other people that I've known, that typically if you don't love yourself first and you're in a relationship with someone else, a romantic relationship, usually there's going to be some downsides to that. Like, the relationship might be very unhealthy, very dysfunctional, very codependent. And one or both parties are most likely unhappy in that relationship. Because if we don't love ourselves and we think that we have to go into a relationship in order to be loved or to feel loved, then we're most likely going to attract someone who also doesn't love themselves. So then you have two people who are searching for love outside of themselves, and they don't know how to give love because they don't even know what it is for themselves. So it's like we have two people with these, let's say, empty cups who are begging for those cups to be filled with love because they're essentially low or empty, and they're going back and forth, but they can't give that love. It takes having that love in your cup already filled up, and then you let it flow out to other people. That's how I look at it anyways. So back to what I said about loving yourself first to attract love. Again, I agree with that to a certain extent, but I want to add like an addendum to that. And that is that we need to show ourselves unconditional love. And most of us have placed conditions on loving ourselves, whether we're conscious of it or not. These conditions can be, I will love myself once I lose this amount of weight. I will love myself when I am in a relationship. I will love myself when I have my dream job. I will love myself once my father or mother shows me love and attention, adoration, something that maybe they didn't experience as a child, because that parent most likely also didn't have self-love and wasn't able to express love to their child. Not saying that they didn't love their child, I'm sure they did, and they showed it in the best way they knew how. But it kind of gives that child like a distorted view of love. Maybe they don't know how to show love in the most healthy ways. And usually these conditions, I would say, are subconscious. We may not think them or say them out loud, but they're definitely there. And not only just unconditional love when things are going well, I'm talking about in your deepest, darkest moments. When you're experiencing negative, low vibrational emotions, when you're sad and you're crying your eyes out, when you're super angry and pissed off, when you're experiencing jealousy of someone else, or you're feeling guilt, you're feeling shame, you're depressed, etc., etc. And I know this is challenging because it is so easy to feel like you love yourself when you're having an amazing hair day, when your outfit and makeup's on point, when people are giving you compliments, when you got that promotion at work, when you won that award, when you accomplished some goal or task. But it can be very short-lived until the next moment comes when something doesn't go the way that you plan. You're having a bad hair day, maybe you've gained some weight, maybe your skin's breaking out. Maybe you don't feel beautiful. Maybe you don't feel successful. And many times we can get to a point of feeling guilty about feeling guilty. Feeling depressed about feeling depressed. Feeling anxious about feeling anxious. And we judge and criticize and beat ourselves up for the way that we feel. Because we have some expectation that we're supposed to feel good and happy and amazing all of the time. And with social media, man, it can be really easy to think that everybody else has a secret to life and is super happy and looks amazing all the time. Even though we know that's not true consciously, I feel like deep down that image of people outside of us can seep into our subconscious. Allow yourself to feel all the range of your emotions without judgment. It is always okay to feel how you feel. Your feelings are always valid, no matter what anybody else says. I'm going to give an example. I want you to think about your inner child. Everyone has an inner child. Just because we physically grow up doesn't mean that our inner child ever goes away. There's things that our inner child loves, and then there are things that our inner child hasn't healed from. Something that happened when we were actually a child. So think about all the terrible, mean things you might say to yourself on a day-to-day basis. Whenever you didn't win that award or that promotion. Do you tell yourself you're a loser, you're a failure, you're never going to amount to anything, everyone else is better than you? Think about the times that you tell yourself that you're too fat, or you're too ugly, that you're too stupid, that you're unworthy, and how that makes you feel. Now imagine whenever you say any of those things, that you are the adult, as you are right now, looking and speaking to your inner child. Imagine you as a child, any age, and think about every time you say those things, you're saying those things to that child. Would you ever consciously say those things to an actual child? Whether it's your inner child, if you were the outside perspective talking to them, or anyone else's child, or even your own children. Most of us would never talk to a child like that because we know how much it would damage their self-esteem, that it's unloving, that's unkind. And we want to encourage, uplift, empower those children to go for their dreams and to be the person that they want to be in the future. You, as an adult, deserve compassion and unconditional love just as much as the child version of you. Many people have very limiting beliefs, such as they're not lovable, that they're not valuable, and they're not unworthy of love because of their perceived flaws, whether they be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. through trauma and through all those limiting beliefs accumulated over the years, we can start to think that we're damaged goods, especially if we can't seem to attract a partner or we can't seem to stay in a relationship very long. We think there's something wrong with me, especially if you get into a relationship and that other person leaves for whatever reason. We may still think that the reason they left is because we're too flawed, we're too damaged. I've definitely thought that before. I didn't think I could be in a healthy, functional relationship for the longest time because I kept repeating my same story of what happened to me. I was homeless. I was in a transitional youth shelter. I was a ward of the state by the government. I left home when I was 16. My mom, I thought, maybe had some kind of mental issues. And then I was like, well, then I must have mental issues, and no one's going to love me if I'm not normal. I really thought that my perceived flaws were the reason why I couldn't be in a good relationship. So after the person leaves the relationship, we blame ourselves and our perceived flaws as the reason why they left, which reinstills the belief that we're unlovable and something's wrong with us. So I believe that by us truly practicing self-love, unconditional self-love, especially in those dark, hard times when we're not feeling so hot, that we are going to attract true love, our soulmate, our partner for life, because we attract that of which we are a vibration of. When people already feel self-love, they act on it, and you can see that within each person. But if you don't love yourself, for whatever reason, then I believe you can take certain actions which are going to bring about certain feelings and thoughts that will in turn help us to love ourselves. So basically you can think the thoughts first. You can say affirmations. You can say things like, I'm loved, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy. And that can start to elicit a feeling. And especially if you say those when you're feeling down, and it's going to feel like you're lying to yourself at first for a while. And then when we truly start to believe that and change those limiting beliefs and those subconscious thoughts, you will start to take action. But it also works in reverse. You can start to take action first, such as eating healthy, eating nutrient-dense foods, drinking lots of water, getting plenty of sleep, resting when you're tired, hanging out with people who already love themselves or people that you love, exercising, getting those endorphins. Basically anything that makes you feel good. Actually, anything that makes you feel good on a sustainable long-term basis. So if you drink and you think drinking makes you feel good, it only makes you feel good for a while, and then you will most likely feel very terrible the next day. So something that feels like self-care, because self-care is a part of self-love. That could also look like setting boundaries with people, not letting people walk all over you. Being very selective of where you put your energy with the people. Are you hanging out with people who drain you or people who uplift you? Are you watching the news or watching very negative, violent, dark content? So whatever you do that brings your vibration up, that makes you feel good without like an after effect or some kind of crash, is self-care, which is a practice of self-love. And I invite you to even set the intention to practice more self-love, more self-care. And to set the intention to be conscious of when you're being mean, when you're talking down to your inner child. I want you to think about your inner child whenever you have negative thoughts about yourself. And self-love is just not a one and done, one-time thing. It's something that we have to keep practicing every day. And there are going to be times where you feel more at a low point, where you are sad or angry or depressed. And that's okay. Remember, that's okay. But still remember that you are loved. You are already loved. That you are worthy. And be gentle on yourself. I have to remind myself of this every time I start to feel down. And for me, I did find a very healthy, loving, functional relationship with my husband and my soulmate. For him, my perceived flaws are adorable. He embraces them. He doesn't reject them. He embraces them because he knows that they're a part of me. And he doesn't see them as flaws. I see them as flaws. Just like he has things that he sees about himself that he thinks are flaws that I don't see as flaws. I just think of them as human. So you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to look perfect. You do not have to be perfect to be in a good relationship and have true love. If that person is meant for you, they will be there. And relationships are work. It's not always rainbows and sunshines every day. But it should be more of a flow than resistance most of the time, a majority of the time. And if someone walks away from a relationship because of something that they see as a flaw in you, or you feel like you have a flaw, then you can just thank them for making space for the right person to come. The right person's going to accept you. Alright, that is all I have for today. If this video helps you in some way or it resonates with you, please give me a thumbs up to let me know, and or leave a comment. I always love talking to you guys in the comments. And in case you haven't said your affirmations, or you haven't told yourself today, or no one else has told you, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are whole and complete, whether you're in a relationship or not. And of course, you don't need me to tell you this. This is something your soul already knows. I'm just here to remind you. Until next time, guys. See you in the next video.